Good afternoon, 49er faithful. Welcome to a pregame show before the 49ers take on the Atlanta Falcons. Going to be a good game today. It sets up favorably for the 49ers, that is for sure. I'll be honest, I started this one at 12:30 thinking that we had the 125 kickoff. I should have known with this matchup, San Francisco against Atlanta, that it was in fact a 105 kickoff. So we will have a short 35-minute celebratory pregame session going on here with a couple of topics that I want to get in. First, celebrating those that are here in the chat. Aloha, Rob, from the islands, Frank writes. If Atlanta and Washington football team win, the 49ers are currently out. A critical NFC conference matchup. This is a definite playoff game, an absolute must win. I have to agree, maybe not absolute, but this is a very, very important game for the San Francisco 49ers. Ellis calling out the fact that, yes, Detroit is getting all over Arizona. It's fantastic. Ellis, yes, we do want the Seahawks to beat the Rams. Ellis also right that, yes, we need this victory. Josh coming in. We better win this damn game. Let's go Niners. Sean 951 in the house predicting a big victory, 42-13. Caleb a little more trepidatious. Fingers crossed for a 49ers blowout. I'd love to see the starters get some rest in preparation of the Thursday night game. Yes, going to be going up against the Tennessee Titans in 4 days. They look to be getting bruised and battered by the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. That's probably a good thing. Moses coming in. DBs better be on their A game. You cannot screw up against Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan is susceptible to turnovers. DBs got to have their head on a swivel. Hopefully force some of those turnovers. Here we go. Silent Seth. After watching Mike Glennon for the Giants, I now realize how much of a godsend Jimmy is. Yes. Yes. Chris Royale in the house. What's up, faithful? Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Raul, are the Lions still beating the Cardinals? Last I checked, they are. Happy holidays, everyone. And Rob Harold comes in with a Go Niners at the end. Karthik in the house. Rob is back in the house, boys. Yes, I am. And Karthik is joining as well. Let me get into the topics that I wanted to cover in this quick pregame and get into the 49ers defense matching up against the Atlanta offense. So really three key players for Atlanta, if you're asking me, ruling out Matt Ryan, knowing that Matt Ryan is a consistent quarterback, but three weapons at his disposal. Cordarrelle Patterson, obviously the Swiss Army knife of the offense, the Deebo Samuel light version for Atlanta. Then you have Russell Gage, who plays primarily out of the slot. He is their top target at wide receiver, and the young stud rookie in Kyle Pitts. So with those three weapons at Matt Ryan's disposal, how does the 49ers defense match up against that Atlanta offense? An offense that when it gets clicking can put a lot of points on the board. Let's be honest about that. And the 49ers defense has looked better as of late, but susceptible in that very thin cornerback room. Thankfully, that's not where the strength of Atlanta's team lies. The way in which the 49ers match up against Atlanta, to me, is very clear-cut in this scenario. The 49ers defense with Fred Warner, obviously down Azeez Al-Shaair, obviously down Dre Greenlaw, a thinner linebacking group, but the best coverage linebacker of them, Fred Warner, is out there. I expect Fred Warner to be all over Cordarrelle Patterson today. I think he will be with eyes in the backfield constantly. Because Russell Gage lines up primarily in the slot, that puts him typically with K'Wan Williams. And you know the Shark can handle a good wide receiver. I put Russell Gage more in that average NFL wide receiver range. He's certainly not lighting the world on fire. So we just have to keep him looking like the average to above average NFL player that he is. You can't allow him to become a superstar in this game. And then you got Kyle Pitts. And who do we have to cover Kyle Pitts but the best man coverage safety in the league, Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward is going to be all over Kyle Pitts. I anticipate there will be many instances of double coverage that other teams have been using against Kyle Pitts. He's their most prolific pass-catching threat. I expect the 49ers to target him with the eyes of the defense. He and Cordarrelle Patterson, the two deadliest weapons on the Atlanta Falcons team. But the 49ers defense matches up well with both of those weapons. They happen to have counter punches that they can use to hold those guys in check. And then obviously attacking the head of the monster, Matt Ryan. You're going to have the 49ers pass rush getting after him. In particular, they are vulnerable at that left guard spot and that right tackle spot. It will be interesting to see who lines up over each of those positions. Left tackle, they are pretty solid. They've got Jake Matthews. I would expect him to be able to handle Nick Bosa for the most part. Jalen Mayfield at left guard, susceptible. Caleb McGarry, right tackle, highly susceptible. Those are the areas of weakness I'd expect the 49ers defense to attack and attempt to get at the head of the beast with Matt Ryan. Karthik asking the question, who are their outside wide receivers then? Taijay Sharp is the other starting wide receiver. Taijay Sharp is a taller wide receiver, sort of in the vein of a T. Higgins. T. Higgins obviously gave us some fits last week for the Bengals. He's 6'4". You could see him catching a few balls, but he only has something like 250 yards on the season. I mean, it is not a really elite receiving threat that they have. And the other one, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is Zacchaeus, Olamide Zacchaeus. And I believe he's more of their deep threat, a bit more of the speed wide receiver. But I would expect that, again, the three weapons they rely on most would be Cordarrelle Patterson, Kyle Pitts, and Russell Gage. I think those are going to be the primary targets, have been the primary targets for Matt Ryan. Cordarrelle getting the lump share, the large share of carries out of the backfield. And obviously Mike Davis being the complementary back there. I love Scott Sullivan's prediction here. Bosa going to get 3 sacks and catapult to number 1 in the league. That man deserves to get MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. Got to hope that he gets one of those. He deserves it in a quarterback-driven league. Man, sometimes you got to recognize non-quarterbacks. Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, 2 of the most special seasons I have ever seen. All right. Getting on, Moses here. Look at this. Bracket Pitts zone on one side or the other. Put a disguise to confuse the receivers. I think that you're going to have to use a lot of tricks in the book to contain Pitts. He seems to be their most prolific threat. He has that catch radius that is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. I am surprised to see that he's not more of a red zone target than he's been to this point. Flipping it over to the other side, the 49ers offense up against the Atlanta defense. This really sets up for Jimmy Garoppolo to have all day to throw against Atlanta. Atlanta had one mildly effective pass rusher coming into this game, Dante Fowler. He went out to warm up, test his injury, didn't practice all week. Looks like he will be inactive for this game. That's looking like the most likely scenario, is that he's inactive for this game. He had 4.5 sacks on the season. No one below him has more than 2 sacks on the season. The leading sack rushers that will be in the game for the Atlanta Falcons all have 2 sacks on the season. The 49ers offensive line is certainly not strong all the way across. It goes from the most amazing left tackle in the league, excuse me, over to potentially the worst pass blocking tight end, right tackle in the league. The left tackle, amazing. Right tackle, struggling in the pass game. Laken Tomlinson, extremely solid, both in the run game, pass protection. Alex Mack, a little bit better in run blocking, a little bit worse in pass protection. Daniel Brunskill, good run blocker, not a great pass protector. And Tom Compton, great run blocker, very bad in pass protection. But when you only have a team with very few pass rushers coming in, the 49ers have a very good chance of keeping Jimmy upright. And that sets up for them to be able to run the ball and take the shots when they need to capitalize against this team on those second mediums, third and shorts. Jimmy being able to complete those passes. I would look for heavier days to George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, looking to probably get carries to Debo out of the backfield because you don't have Elijah Mitchell. You will need to get creative in getting that run game going. You have to absolutely control the time of possession against this Atlanta offense. You do not want to allow Matt Ryan to tire out our defense. That's when we become very susceptible to other teams. Jamie Bryant coming in. Rob Shue, how are you? Let's beat Atlanta. I am doing good. I'm doing better now that I'm on here with all of you. You can tell I got my game day gear on. Got the lucky jacket. Let me know if you hear the snaps, if they're too distracting there with the jingle jangle of the snaps there. But I'm loving the game day fit in case I need it. I got my lucky cap to throw on as well. Got to have something as a backup plan just in case the mojo starts to go in a different direction. But I am doing well so far. I think the 49ers are going to win, and that makes me feel good. Karthik, Pitts has a size advantage over Ward. Thoughts, Rob? Yes, he does. Significant size advantage when you take into account his wingspan. But they haven't been using him in the red zone where you would think that wingspan would come into play most importantly in that matchup. I anticipate that Jimmy Ward will play close enough to Kyle Pitts to make it a very short, small window for Matt Ryan. This could be a multiple turnover game. This could set up for the 49ers to get some much needed picks. Yes. Lizard King, I think this is a trap game. We need to win out and activate playoff model. Go Niners. Yes, I pointed out on Twitter, the idea of I am not predicting this, but the idea of the 49ers winning the West, NFC West, the first seed in the division is still possible. If Arizona loses out, which if you're going to lose to Detroit, you can lose to anybody. If Arizona lost out, if the Rams, for the most part, lost out, if we beat them and we win out, yes, the 49ers could potentially sneak into that fourth seed. A lot of things are still possible. I'm not predicting it, but it just isn't over yet. Moses Martinez, Rob, the Falcons DBs are vulnerable to get beat inside or outside. So I hope the offense knows that. If I am correct in understanding it, really the only threats that the 49ers need to focus on in defense are AJ Terrell and Grady Jarrett. Those are really the two that if the 49ers offense can game plan around those two, double team Grady Jarrett, the star defensive tackle who otherwise could generate some interior pressure. We know Jimmy doesn't like interior pressure. If they can minimize his pass rush, take him out of the run game, AJ Terrell, throw to the opposite side of the field. You have Eric Harris, their starting safety, out now. They have someone filling in, a second-year safety, so I think they are vulnerable. I think Moses is on to something here. I hope that... Ooh, here we go, Jan. This is my feeling. On paper, everything favors the Niners, but that's on paper. You got to play the game. You have to play the game. The Niners have to come out quick and punch them in the mouth. Jeff Wilson will have a big game. Karthik, I hope you are right about that. Scott Sullivan, I agree here. Yeah, Tomlinson is massively underappreciated by this fan base. Never missed a game. Consistent, solid play. He needs to be resigned. He should be a top priority to be resigned. He's right up there with DJ Jones for me. You know me and Big Dave's barbecue sauce. I don't get anything from it, but I like to promote that. Give a little something to charity. Randall Riley. Hoping we get back to our strength this weekend and run the damn ball 30-plus carries. That is what we need to do. Control the time of possession. That's how our offense attacks this Atlanta defense. It is going to be a good one for the 49ers Falcons today. Victor correctly stating the last few years, the Falcons have had the 49ers number. So I hope the 49ers don't overlook this game. I hope so too. It's a very important one. Matthew with the compliment, like the jacket. Cheers to you, Matthew. I appreciate that. I love it too. I always call out, it's one of the original 80s chalkline jackets, just a little bit different than the Starter brand jackets, the version before Starter took over. pretty critical. All right, Sean 951 with a prediction. Jimmy G, 18 to 25, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. I love that. If that happens, those statistics come into play. That's the 49ers offense beating Atlanta in my book. Caleb, I'm fairly new here, but your positive outlook and attitude is a breath of fresh air. Go Niners. Welcome, Caleb. Appreciate the support on the channel. Thank you for coming in. David, do you think our 49ers kicking squad will present any problems? I hope that, Mitch is able to continue kicking a few knucklers, his hard-to-catch punts, pinning teams inside the 10. I just wish we got more touchbacks on kickoffs. It's highly frustrating to me, the percentage of these kicks that are getting taken out, because our coverage unit is not fantastic. And I would attribute that to injuries on the team pulling players from the special teams unit. And therefore, our star gunners and players like that have to play linebacker. They have to play cornerback. And that depletes our special teams unit. So I would much rather our kickers get that little bit extra, put the damn ball in the end zone for a touchback. Jan asking, where do I get that sauce? Look up Big Dave's. You can find Big Dave's barbecue sauce on Twitter and follow Big Dave. Reach out to him. There's a website. It spells out the charities that they support with a portion of the proceeds going there. It tells a little bit of DJ Jones's story and his dad's story. They just seem like good people to me. I am happy to support. I will try to put that link out on Twitter. Victor, Rob, always game day swag ready. Have to be. Have to. All right, back in on the DBs, and then I'm going to go back to one of my topics that I wanted to hit here. Moses saying, Rob, example, show Jimmy Ward on Pitts pre-snap, then have K'Wan Williams cover Pitts. I love it. Disguise coverages. Matt Ryan is primed to throw a couple of Pitts. TC coming in. Lions beat up Arizona. Let's freaking go. Tabular is like, somehow the Cardinals are losing to the Lions? Yes, indeed they are. They are losing to the Lions, and that helps our 49ers. All right, another key to this game for me is winning the turnover battle. What I saw from Jimmy Garoppolo last week in some of those sacks where he appeared to hold the ball too long was actually Jimmy pulling the ball down and avoiding a strip sack. And I got to admit that there's something to that for Jimmy Garoppolo. He has in the past, when he's in a crowded pocket, made poor decisions, held on to the ball, and lost fumbles because of that. The number of fumbles in Jimmy's career with the 49ers is higher than you'd like to see. I think that while I would prefer he scramble out of that pressure, get rid of the ball down the field, that would be the ideal. I'm happier with him taking the sack, pulling it down, controlling the football, as opposed to allowing the dreaded strip sack. The strip sack is a huge momentum swing that we cannot afford. The 49ers offense, in my observation to this point, is good in stops and starts and is not good enough to overcome significant hurdles when they shoot themselves in the foot, when they turn the ball over, when they commit needless penalties, when they fall behind in down and distance. We need things to stay on schedule as an offense. I can attribute some of the reason that Kyle Shanahan doesn't turn over individual plays to Trey Lance to that very reason. If the play doesn't go well and Jimmy comes back in, now behind and down in distance, this offense is not consistent enough to hit those. This should be a game for the 49ers to get right against this defense. This should be a game where Jimmy can put up 300 yards without turning the ball over. That would be a huge momentum boost. On the other side of the ball, you have to be able to force Matt Ryan through pressure, defensive pressure, Nick Bosa and company, storming the castle, and force him to throw some turnovers. I'm looking at Jimmy Ward. I'm looking at Fred Warner. Some of our big play players need to make those big plays. I also see it as a combination in being ball secure to also hold on to the rock for a considerable period of time. Control the time of possession. Run the ball. Run the damn ball, 49ers. I want to see us striving for those 30 carries today. I want to see a resurgence of Jeff Wilson Jr., JWJ. Get him out and dust him off. Let's go to that dark place together as an offense. Let us impose our will physically on this Atlanta team. It sets up perfectly. The 49ers need to come out and attack. They need to be aggressive. They need to be creative. Use Deebo Samuel sparingly in the run game, but creatively. Get him out there in those plays that allow him to get around the corner like nobody else could. When it looks like the defender has the angle on him, but somehow he makes it around, follows Daniel Brunskill or Tom Compton to the glory land. That's what I want to see. I want to see us run it effectively. Getting back into the comments, Joe Mama, a fellow sneakerhead. I saw Dante Johnson walking into the stadium on Snapchat. Think he's playing. That's fantastic news. A little depth at cornerback. Nicoyas, I really hope we don't make self-inflicted wounds against a team we should beat. I'm hopeful and optimistic we can win. Let's go. That makes two of us. I am good with the idea of being hopeful and optimistic for this win. Karthik, anything is good if you donate to charity. Amen to that. Give a little back. Peter Lee, any word on Niners' interest in Bashaud Breeland? Hopefully we will hear later today or sometime this week. I believe because he was released over the weekend, the league, although the busiest day in the league is Sunday, the league offices are closed on the weekend. As little sense as that makes, that's sort of a throwback rule or regulation or business hours, if you will. The 49ers may have put in a claim. I would think that if OBJ goes unclaimed this year, I'm going to guess Bashaud Breeland goes unclaimed, and teams want to talk to him about that incident. I mean, seemed kind of, dude took his shoes off, was trying to fight coaches and players. It not looking good. I would want to speak to Bashaud before bringing him in, even with how thin we are at cornerback. My guess is he clears waivers as of tomorrow and then signs with a team after that once they've spoken with him. I could be wrong. The 49ers certainly need some depth there. I don't know what his contract was. Need to look that up to see if he could fit underneath the cap for the 49ers as of right now. JC, another sneakerhead. What's going on, Rob? Let's go Niners, baby. Good to see you, JC. Welcome into the chat. TC, also Trey Lance, number 5, looks sharp and ready. Took the good things from Jimmy and left the bad ones behind, such as the quick release and that sidearm throw. The future looks bright to me with Trey Lance. I am hopeful that he will be in next year. I'm hopeful that we'll see some snaps from him in the playoffs. I'm telling you. Victor, Rob, do you believe the 49ers can leapfrog the Rams? That was a Freudian slip. That was not me trying to call them the Lambs. I just did. I apologize, but I don't. Rob, do you believe the 49ers can leapfrog the Rams for that 5th seed? I do. I think that is wide open. I'm not beyond believing that they can still make that NFC West title. Maybe that's too much to believe. Maybe everything has to go the Niners' way in order for that one to happen. But hey, mathematically speaking, it could. Jan correctly stating Shanny needs to coach a full 4 quarters. Yes. And Clown Man is correct. We absolutely 100% positively cannot sleep on any team anymore. Family. Well said. Victor, Rob, what would be the over-under for pass interference calls against the 49ers today? I don't see a hell of a lot of deep shots by Atlanta. Kyle Pitts is primarily their deep target. If you look at the average yards per reception, he's averaging 14.3. Definitely a deep target there. I put it at the over-under at 1.5, and I'm taking the under on this one, because I don't think they'll be taking too many shots against Josh Norman, who seems to be most guilty of grabbing. And I'm not counting any hands to the face that could occur against Ambry Thomas. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully he lowers those hands as he goes for the jam at the line of scrimmage. Jay Bats, after the last couple games, Jimmy's looking more confident. His confidence is what's going to win or lose the rest of this season. Yeah, I agree with Steve Young that how far we go in the playoffs is dependent upon how well Jimmy G plays. We definitely want his confidence up. Harold, if the 49ers move to the 5th spot, does that mean that the 49ers play the Cowboys? The Cowboys defense looks dangerous. They are rounding back into form, although they've looked inconsistent this year. No, the playoff seeding is by far not settled. It could, as of right now, the 49ers could play the Cardinals in the first round. That could all flip-flop. All of it is up for grabs at this point. JC, let's see if we learned anything from that Seattle loss. Yes, not taking a team lightly, JC. Thank you. A sneakerhead pointing it out. Ooh, here we go. Lapacalolo, another sneakerhead coming in. Cards losing to the Lions 27-12. So anything can happen in this game. I hope the Niners stay focused on protecting ball and the pass rush, do their job to help the cornerbacks cover up a thin secondary with a monstrous pass rush. Sean 951, another prediction. Kittle, 150 plus yards for third straight. God, I hope so. Set the NFL record a little bit further and harder to reach. Peter Lee, I heard on ESPN that if Debo scores a rushing touchdown in this game, then he would have most rushing touchdowns by a wide receiver in NFL history since the merger. That is wild. We are witnessing history. Witnessing history with Debo Samuel's performance. Harold calling out Arizona loss per a TV announcement. That happened 4 minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. AJB 31-17. Niners, let's go. Debo Samuel for MVP. You know I can get behind that. Yes, we can get behind that. Don Burr and his Detroit Lions. This shout out goes to my friend Dustin, who is a Detroit Lions fan. Thank you for beating the Cards. Yes, just announced that the Cards did lose. I'm with Moses here on this comment. It will be a tight game for the 49ers. 49ers win 28-24. I had this one breaking out as 27-20, and then I upped that to 27-23 when the news of Elijah Mitchell being out happened on Friday. With the news of Dante Fowler being out today, I'm going back to my original pronouncement of 49ers winning 27-20. That is my prediction for this one. J-Bats, over under 3.5 total sacks for our defense today. I'm smashing the over on that one. I am taking the over heavy. I think we go 4+ sacks, 2+ from Bosa, 1 from Eric Armstead, and we'll throw in 1 for Arden Key because he is getting after it from the interior. Colton Crawford asking, who is running back 1 today? That would be Jeff Wilson Jr. running back 1 today. We need Jeff Wilson Jr. to go to his dark place and help the 49ers average 4+ yards per carry. If we can average greater than 4 yards per carry, I predict we will stick with the run and get those 30 rushes in there and win this game, dominating that time of possession. Chester, Jimmy has started 41 total games, less than 3 years starting. Is it fair there is room for him to get better? It is fair to say that. Everyone can still continue progressing. Look at the career trajectory of Tom Brady and ways in which he took his game to a new level to compensate for the natural progression of getting older. You certainly can up your mental game. It's fair to question what limitations Jimmy has, what ceiling he may have, but is he capable of improving? I think there's no doubt. No doubt. I don't know he'll get enough time here with the 49ers to prove that he can turn it around here. I think his best bet is with the next organization. All right, going into my last topic before hitting the rest of these comments and closing out with these 5 minutes, staying aggressive from start to finish. The 49ers have lost 6 in a row after coming back from East Coast start games. They have that game on the East Coast. They're doing very well in those East Coast start games, but then they travel back home to Levi's. They don't seem to have the home field advantage. They're exhausted from a lot of travel, and then they drop that game. If they dropped it today, it would be 7 in a row to Atlanta. So they know they're vulnerable. They have to use that knowledge as motivation to avoid the trap game. as the fire to come out and punch Atlanta in the mouth from the outset. No slow starts today. No errant turnovers. No boneheaded penalties. You cannot allow Atlanta to get hope, because if they smell hope, if they catch some momentum, they will realize that they can flip-flop into the 6th seed today by beating San Francisco. Our Niners would become the 7th seed in losing to Atlanta today. Cannot allow them to get that hope. Got to step on their necks from the outset. That's my belief. All right, getting back to close this out with your comments, because that's the most fun that I have here. Yes. Matthew Mears, the Arizona loss to Detroit is a true definition of a trap game. Also of an inconsistent team in Arizona that lacks a quality head coach, in my opinion, and lacks a little bit of leadership, if I may criticize Kyler Murray in being a little Aaron Rodgers-like. A little too pouty for my taste. I believe Aaron Rodgers, if he were a better leader, would have more championships in this league. He is that talented. I think the same thing is true of Kyler Murray. Either one of them is capable of growing into that individual. Kyler's so young, I would expect it more from him. Aaron's pretty fixed in who he is right now. But I see that same tendency to pout, to blame others, not to look inward and take accountability. Yes, he single-handedly lifts them up and leads by example in that way, but sometimes that's not enough. And I think it's evidenced in the way that the Cardinals have historically fallen off with him in his young career. Small sample size, I'll give it that. Andrew Leggett, Bosa gets 2 sacks and Ward 1 interception. Samuel and Ayuk combined for 3 TDs. I love it, Andrew. Cheers to that prediction. That is right in line with where I see the 49ers' strengths lying up against Atlanta. It just takes the 49ers to execute in order to make this happen, Andrew. On paper, all these predictions should come true. Jan, over 28-3. Love it. Love it. People talking about Arizona getting blown out, 30-12. AJB, great show, Rob. See you after the win. Hit those likes. AJB, appreciate it as always. Sean 951 predicting a big man touchdown. A big man touchdown. Trent Williams, a TD today. Man, I hope you're right. Big man touchdowns are so much fun. Matthew Mears, does Arizona suck? No, they just didn't take Detroit seriously because of their crap record. You got to learn from that. You got to look at that and say, yes, yes, yes. You've got to come out with a vengeance. Texas Niner also wearing his chalk line today. Love it. Does feel great, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yes, let's do this, Texas Niner. David talking about Arizona exposed. B. Enos, Kyler Murray is a big baby. I'm not going that far, but that's sort of what I'm implying a little bit. Texas, I think Kyler's overrated. I think he's correctly rated for his skill set. What he does is amazing, and I would agree that it's, his all-around game perhaps a little overrated. Tommy congratulating Don Burr. Joe Mama coming in. Rob, I think this would be a great game for some Jawan Jennings targets. What say you, sir? Get him involved. Get him involved in blocking in the run game. That guy's attitude is fantastic. Fantastic. Ashley coming in. Hi, Rob. Checking in. Cards are drunk. Dan Campbell somewhere singing in happiness right now. The Cards are definitely in pain, losing to the Detroit Lions. People in Detroit must be celebrating this one. It's their Super Bowl. Let's be real about it. Beating a team with that record when you are struggling, Detroit is partying. Golden Fang, game in 5 minutes, bro. I'm behind. Game in 1 minute. Game in 1 minute. Matthew Mears, game time, fellas. Let's get it. Yes. Yes. Oh, look at this Texas Niner. I got my DJ Jones barbecue sauce ready for today's game. He went up and found the DJ Jones barbecue sauce from Big Dave. All right, let's see if there are any J-Bats here at Rob Shoe. If we don't find a trade partner for Jimmy before the draft, I can see a Jimmy G extension to get his number down. 2 years, 17 to 20 mil, then trade before the deadline. Thoughts? Anything is possible. We will get into that. postseason. Right now, we are focused on the Niners winning today. Niners winning against the Falcons, another bird. It's all about the birds today. The birds are losing on both sides. The birds lost to the Lions, and the birds are about to lose to the 49ers. Let's end on this. David comes in on fire for the jacket. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate everybody being here today, celebrating with me as we prep for this pregame. It's 1:05. Kickoff is happening. I need to get upstairs and watch this thing. Thank you for joining. We will be doing a post-game breakdown where I will talk about my takeaways from the game and get into your comments as well. You know I love the dialogue, so bring it back here after the game. Until then, cheers, Niner faithful.